everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Postgame Show, presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, and that was not an ordinary performance for the Philadelphia Eagles. Their dominant win, the biggest win of the season, 37-17, outscoring the Bengals 27-7 in the second half. Vinny Curry, Super Bowl champion, Jamie Lynch, Fran Duffy, all here to talk about it. We're going to hear from Zach Berman as well, and Nick Sirianni too. But Vinny, how do you feel? Is this team for real now?
This team is for real. This team is for real. I told everyone. Consistency. You know what I mean? We're ranking up 3. Today showed everybody against a playoff team, playoff contender for the AFC, to go out there to Cincinnati and dominate them. Listen, I love all y'all. I will say all cheesesteaks is on me, but, imagine that in your mind. Let's go, baby.
Jamie, we were here at the halftime show. It was a bit of an uneven start to the game. They only had 3 possessions.
I was telling you about how much I love this offense, how good they looked, that they were going to win the game. All you guys were naysaying and saying, no, Bengals got this, Jamie. And I was like, guys, no, my team, my offense, my Jalen. You got this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I pretty much nailed it to a T.
This offense scored a touchdown on 7 of their 8 possessions, dominant in the second half.
What a
Jalen Hurts, 16 of 20 for 236 yards and a touchdown, adding 3 touchdowns on the ground. Let's just have more tush pushes. Why not?
I do. I'm having a little bit of tush push overload, but when you win, who cares?
Yeah. Fran, bigger to you.
Let me open the Victory Miller Lite here.
There we go. And we'll hear from Miller Lite in a little bit. Are you more impressed with the offense or the defense in this game?
I think I'm more impressed with the defense.
Okay.
I mean, holding Jamar Chase to 6 yards a catch here in this game. Joe Burrow was efficient, but they took away the explosives. You get 2 turnovers. He popped the seal there. He almost had another one down the field as well. So to me, the defensive performance, but I mean, offensively, they scored, 4 touchdowns on 5 drives, 5 straight scoring drives. I think when you look at the way that this offense was able to perform, especially in the second half, you have to be encouraged. We said before the game that this would be a huge litmus test for this team. We all got to witness something that's never happened before in history. The Eagles get a win in Cincinnati for the first time ever in franchise history. No question. To me, this was a huge statement win for this team.
Well, you might be surprised to know that by EPA per drive, this offensive performance, the Eagles' best offensive performance since 2021, better than any game in the Super Bowl season.
Wow.
As I always said, I never doubted this offense.
It does. It will be funny to watch back and be like, why was the offense like this in the first 2 drives of the game?
Yeah.
So protected, and then they're able to open things up. But maybe that's part of the game plan. You hit the body blows early, and then you can open things up.
Vinny, you were kind of talking about that. You were like, all right, why aren't we going
opening
for
this
it?
thing up, man? The first half, we all just sitting around like, okay, that looked kind of stale and stagnant. Second half, they started opening it up. Smitty got Smitty involved. We were talking about that.
Yeah.
AJ involved, Saquon involved. We just started making plays, man. And what a dominant performance, from both groups on both sides of the ball.
Remember, too, that those first 3 drives, you had field goal, or it was field goal punt, then the first touchdown, but you had those key penalties against Tyler Steen that took big plays off the board that probably keep the Eagles out of scoring a touchdown on those drives. So, this offense was humming.
And if you did not watch the halftime show, both of those Tyler Steen calls.
Brutal. Terrible calls. Yes.
The first one, a holding call that is extremely ticky-tack. And then the other one, they call him a late hit when they didn't blow the whistle. It took them so long to blow the whistle.
Yeah, that was a referee-induced penalty. Yeah. No question about it. They were so late to blow the whistle, and then Steen comes in late to push the pile, and then they throw the flag on him. But no, offensively, this was a really impressive day. Jalen Hurts made some big throws in this game, especially certainly in the second half. The touchdown to DeVonta Smith was crucial, the 45-yarder on the deep post, which was a concept that the Eagles have been running in this town for 2 decades plus. I can't imagine how many times Deshaun Jackson caught that same play with the deep post, just throw it and let DeVonta go get it. Great ball from Jalen, great catch from DeVonta.
And meanwhile, the running game in this game, it wasn't quite as dominant as it was a week ago, but boy, they kept pounding it, and then Saquon was able to bust a couple, 22 for 108. And then they called back poor Will Shipley's first touchdown on Nick Gates negating that touchdown.
You had to respect that play action. You had to respect it. You got 26 in that backfield. Everybody been on the play actions. DeVonta Smith that was on that touchdown.
And that's some of these things are like we've been just screaming. Why can't we have a little bit more play action in the offense? And they did.
That was crazy. That was a crazy. What an explosive play. I think that was my play of the game. I want to say that was my play of the game.
It was, according to Next Gen, the win probability for the Eagles jumped 16.5 points just on that play. So just the huge swing on that play. I mean, it was a huge one.
Crazy.
And I think you said the longest Jalen has thrown a ball in his career.
The longest completion of Jalen Hurts' career. So it traveled 59.3 yards in the air. This is according to Next Gen Stats. They tweeted it out right after the play. Less than 22% completion probability, but obviously DeVonta coming through with a huge catch down the field.
I was just gonna say what a catch that was.
I'm telling you.
You know, the guy's been like kind of, he had 2 catches before that, maybe. Kind of iced out.
6 for 85.
Slim Reaper.
Yeah, and to come up with that in the end, like high pointed jump ball.
And that is why some of the stuff in the first half, or not to be negative, but when it's like, okay, let's push on 3rd and 1. You're like, this offense has A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith. Like, let's let them eat. Let's dial some stuff up for them. And it's why, like, the trying to draw them off sides on the 2-point conversion at the end of the first half. It's like, this is a team that should be playing like it can go into Cincinnati and beat the Bengals 37-17 and win by 20 points. Like, show up and be like the front runners who we have more talent than anybody else. And it was nice to see them sort of play that way in the second half.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
and now, listen, for all the ups and downs of the past, in the first couple months, they're sitting 5-2. They're top 10 in the league in point differential. The biggest mark for a really good team is being able to blow out teams. All of a sudden, like, maybe this team is for real.
The million-dollar question is, how do you get the second and third quarter offensive performances in the first quarter? Now, today, there wasn't much. Yeah, the Bengals went down the field on like a 17-play, 9-minute drive, so they didn't have a ton of time. But they need to get going sooner because like this offense last week, even in the second quarter, started to pick up, and you're like, all right, there it is, like finally.
Yeah.
And then today in the second half, that was the tale of 2 different teams.
No, and look, the turnovers to me, that showed the importance of being able to take the ball away and help your offense out a little bit, because you got some short fields for the offense, and they were able to make them pay with a couple of touchdowns. And so, to me, getting those turnovers defensively and kind of again popping the seal there, I think that was really important for this team overall. Because there's a lot of pressure.
The only way that you could get that like to break that seal was like to bat the ball right into CJ Gardner-Johnson's hands so hard that he didn't have any choice but to catch it. And what a great play by Isaiah Rodgers.
Yes, what a heads up play. That goes to show you what kind of day that the Birds was having.
Yep.
And let's talk about Nolan Smith for a second.
No doubt.
What's that, 3 weeks straight?
3 weeks.
Sack?
Yep.
I think he's really turning the corner. I think he's for real, man. And hats off to him. He rushed his ass off today.
Yeah, you can see the effort from him.
Yes.
Like, he doesn't quit on plays.
No.
Dude's got a motor. He keeps it going.
And we'll have you break down that sack in a little bit coming up on the postgame show. But yeah, in this game, Vinny, the pass rush, only 1 sack of Joe Burrow. But this is one of those games where that does not tell the story. They were in his face. They were in his face a lot.
Definitely in his face, and as you can see, once they kind of figured out, what he wanted to do and where he wanted to place, man, the rush was definitely in his face all game.
Yeah, I think that you saw a number of times where they were able to get there and force those pressures. Some of the critical plays on some of their scoring drives for Cincinnati where it was just like a near miss from the pass rush, or even from, we saw the 3rd and 8 scramble for 8 yards where Zach Bond is the spy there, it looked like, and he comes up short on the tackle. Like, you got to make some of those plays.
3rd and 22.
Yeah, that's crucial.
Right.
Josh Sweat comes in as a free runner on the stunt, but defensively, they more than did their job in this one. This was a really impressive performance from that side.
And this is another one where, if it had not been for those 3rd downs, this game would be even more lopsided.
Oh, man.
The Bengals 10 of 13 on 3rd down in this game. That opening drive when they go 17 plays, 70 yards over 10 minutes, they're 5 for 5 on 3rd down. If it weren't for that, and that sort of tells you that like on 1st and 2nd down, the Eagles defense was winning, it would have been even more lopsided. Joe Burrow finishes 26 of 37 for just 234 yards.
Wow.
For a touchdown and an interception. And in this game where the Bengals were without T. Higgins, you would think that they're going to fire it all to Jamar Chase. Eagles did a very good job containing him. 9 catches for 54 yards and a touchdown.
I thought they were going to do a decent job. This Quinyon Mitchell kid he's special. He's
you've been on since the beginning.
He's 2nd or 3rd in the league now in Defensive Rookie of the Year. He just doesn't have the INTs to kind of get up there in first yet. But like I in the same game parlay we did, I said, Chase over 50, but I didn't like his over 75. I thought they were going to battle him today. So I wanted to get him in there because I didn't feel strong about the line. But like Quinyon Mitchell is special. And Cooper DeJean, I know you said the BG play, which we can talk about at the 3rd and 1 there. Cooper DeJean sniffing that out on 4th down. Like this is a rookie in his 3rd game. You know, like to sniff that out, to play as athletically as he did. They've changed the defense.
He had 3 solo tackles in this game on an island along the sideline. You know, Charles Davis did a good job on the broadcast of pointing the one out in the low red zone where, typically you see when a player is playing inside out that way and you have a receiver or a ball carrier that has that leverage where you might overrun it. You're hitting that upfield shoulder and you carry yourself away towards the sideline. But Cooper was able to break down and run right through it. Outstanding finish there from Cooper. And then certainly on that 4th down TFL, that was a big time play.
Well, that is a huge play in this game. It's a 7-point game at that point, 24-17. The Eagles are up, and it's 3rd and 1 first, and BG makes the stop. And
that
then
was a hit, too.
And a huge
that was.
Energy is contagious. Hits like that is contagious. And then go over to the next play. They say, Coop, just come over there and do what he do in the open field like that. Goes back, when we was talking about it. And it goes to show you, like, they was prepared. You talking about film study. Them guys knew what play was coming. And then when it happened,
so Vinny, Joe Burrow, it was Deshaun Watson, Daniel Jones. You can make the argument that they beat up on 2 bad quarterbacks the weeks prior. A game like this now, where you see Burrow, one of the upper tier quarterbacks in the NFL. Is it safe to say that maybe new players, new scheme, they've kind of turned the corner in Vic's defense, like 100%?
Absolutely. I think Vic got these guys in the spots that originally he was trying to get guys going in. I think guys is finally understanding and finding their sweet spots, and they're just playing together. And right now, we're just seeing them play the Eagle football we've been wanting to see from the beginning of the season. They are finally putting this thing together.
So is that just like not thinking and just reacting, like when it finally clicks for the whole defense?
Thinking, reacting, repetition, studying, whatever it is, keep it up. This was great to see. And let's talk about Nakobe Dean.
Yeah.
Dude is playing out of his mind.
Fumble recovery today.
Man, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And playing downhill. I mean, some of the sticks he had in the run game in the first half were outstanding. So this is a couple weeks in a row where we're calling out Nakobe. I'm excited to see what he looked like on film.
And listen, like the theory behind it, and it's hard to be patient in the middle of the season when, as Zach likes to say, every week is a season. But with a new defensive coordinator and all of these moving parts and a lot of the young guys, it's probably going to take a little bit of time for everybody to coalesce and snap into gear. And that has been what has happened. And that has been the history of Vic Fangio over his career. And so, like this defense all of a sudden looks like everybody is sort of in the right place for the most part, knows what they're doing. And we're seeing, we saw a bunch of those sim pressures today, right?
Yeah.
Where everybody seems on the same page. And you've got Nolan Smith or Josh Sweat dropping, and they're doing their job. They're in the right spot.
Got to.
Even on that touchdown when, Nolan Smith gets stuck on Jamar Chase.
But it's a spot dropping. When you're a spot dropper, you don't really know, if the way they was at in the red zone, I thought he dropped in the right spot.
They got out schemed on that play. Yeah, that was the tip of the cap of the
Jamar
offense.
Chase on him. Mean, what, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure you'll break it down in your
3 top 5 receivers in the league.
Yeah, I'm curious to see that one in your film reviews, Fran. And by the way, if you would like to get access to all of Fran's
there it is.
wonderful film reviews during the week, you can become a diehard right now at a new introductory rate. You can try it out. You get full access to our full arsenal of awesome writers here on staff. We got the best in town. Fran's film reviews, in my opinion, is worth it alone. So if you ever thought about becoming a diehard, now is a great opportunity to jump in and support us here at PHLY.
Meanwhile, Vinny, as you have told us, and as Jim Schwartz used to say, it all starts with stopping the run. Chase Brown and Zach Moss in this game combined for 17 carries for just 43 yards.
Awesome.
You gotta hang your hat on that. How long we've been saying each week, we gotta stop the run. Stop the run first, and then it's like what Nick was saying. We have to earn the right to pass rush. I thought today they just put it all together. You just stop those 2 guys for 43 yards rushing. Goes to show you that they was playing with their hair on fire today.
I can tell you one thing they're going to be talking about in Cincinnati today and this week is that their inability to be able to run the football again, because this is the second straight week where they have not crossed 60 yards rushing. Where they were excellent running the football early on in the season, and Chase Brown, he was like an X factor for them with that big play potential from the backfield. And so limiting that and making them more one-dimensional. And look, the turnovers, you punch the ball out of Gesicki's hands and things like that. That can be a little bit fluky, right? But ultimately, being able to stop the run was a big part of the reason the Eagles were able to win this football game.
You think this team is all of a sudden like a Super Bowl contender?
I mean, Super Bowl contender might be a little strong, but they've won 3 straight, 2 in convincing fashion.
That's a tough environment.
Yeah, they've got Jacksonville coming to town next week. That's a very winnable game, and then you got Dallas that's down and reeling. We'll see what they look like today against San Francisco. That could give yourself a nice little run there and build a confidence.
I feel like the bar right now is to be the best team in the conference, not in the NFC North.
Yes. Yeah. That's the goal.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the Detroit Lions are the best team in the NFC, and they probably will be for the remainder of the year. But like we brought this up a couple weeks ago, you just got to win the division because the NFC North is probably going to eat up, the extra spots. The Commanders start a game here, and we'll see. Jaden Daniels is playing, but you kind of have, you're 5-2, and it hasn't felt that good. And we talked about last week being like the big kind of momentum point in the season, like. You got to beat the Giants. You can't lose to Daniel Jones. You get that. You feel a little bit better. The defense starts clicking. They're performing really well. Now it's 3 in a row, and it's like, you got the Jaguars and the Cowboys. That can become 5 in a row real quick. And if that happens, it's a totally new year. Game on.
You're feeling good, Vinny?
I'm feeling great.
All right, we're going to hear from Nick Sirianni in just a little bit. But before we do that, a word from our sponsor. And we start with Rite Aid. And it is time for everybody. It's flu shot season, and you can do that, get it done at Rite Aid. Don't miss the big game or Halloween or Thanksgiving. Get your flu shot at Rite Aid. And while you're at the pharmacy, get the latest COVID-19 vaccine as well. Stay up to date on the others. You can even ask your pharmacist for a vaccine review or recommendations. The CDC recommends getting a flu shot every year. A person's immune protection from vaccination declines over time. Help protect yourself against the flu by getting your annual flu shot at Rite Aid today. Do your part for the community. Flu vaccines do not protect against COVID-19, and COVID-19 vaccines do not prevent the flu. Getting vaccinated for both helps provide the best protection, according to the CDC. And while you're at the pharmacy, stock up on cough, cold, flu, and allergy essentials. Rite Aid has what you need to get you through flu season. Just walk into your local Rite Aid or schedule at riteaid.com. State, age, and health restrictions apply. Ask your Rite Aid pharmacist for details.
And let me tell you about our friends at TrueMark Financial Credit Union. They're located right here in the area in Fort Washington. They have 24 area locations. And for me, as a consumer, when the company cares about where they work and they hire people from the area, it means more to me. And TrueMark is just that. They're all located in the area. They care about their community. And if you've ever thought about a home equity line of credit or a HELOC, as those in the business call it, I've done it in the past. I wish I had the team at TrueMark on my side then. But if you want to borrow against the equity of your home, there's variable interest rates. You can preserve your savings and get access to funds as you need for big renovations, education expenses, or emergencies. So you can use TrueMark Financial's budgeting tools to save for special purchases like limited time merchandise. Regular contributions accumulate over time to help you reach your goals. You can transfer as little as $5 a week. That's $260 right there, more than enough for that brand new Kelly Green jersey at Christmas time. So TrueMark Financial is federally insured by the NCUA and an equal opportunity lender. For more information, visit truemark.com/PHLY.
And by the way, if this game has you fired up and you want to get your new Eagles merch, we've got some Eagles merch.
I think this is Vinny. Take it from here.
Yeah, let's hear the
official. The people need it.
Come on! After today's one, we need everybody to go and get your Saquon
T-shirt.
This team is, by the numbers, the run heaviest team in the league.
Good.
A couple blowout wins in a row, though, where a lot of runs in the fourth quarter.
And listen, a big part of this game, you said it when they got the ball, Vinny, after that second turnover.
Time possession.
They're up 10 points.
Yep.
It's about 10, 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Can you run the ball when they know that you need to run the ball, that you want to run the ball? And boy, did they.
That's it. And they were able to do it not just with Saquon. We saw some Kenny Gainwell runs in there, and certainly what they did with Shipley. Obviously, we talked about the negated touchdown coming off the board with him. But I think when you look at their ability to run the football behind that offensive line, guys, did we say Fred Johnson's name one time today? We talked about that matchup too with him and with Trey Hendrickson in the pass game. Did not say his name once, so kudos to Fred Johnson. But just in the run game, their ability to create that movement consistently. Cincinnati was one of the worst run defenses in football, so just being able to continue to leverage that and lean into that, certainly a strength for the team in this game.
Jack Driscoll, one play today, he was phenomenal. Really showed up.
At the very end, they came in.
Oh, that's right.
The backups, unfortunately. But yes. Well,
thank God Lane wasn't
that Lane one, it's like he looks like, that's a classic Lane, and JP used to do this, right? Like he goes down, you're like, oh my God,
season's over.
Season's over. He's back one play later.
The Paul Pierce effect, man.
Well, Paul might have had a little in his white shorts that day.
Yeah. I don't think that's what happened to Lane. Injury-wise, aside from Lane, Darius Slay did leave this game with a groin injury, did not return. Isaiah Rodgers, I mean, he made that play, obviously, but other than that, made a nice tackle in the open field. I thought this was the best he has looked this season.
We had a question in the chat about that play, about the interception. It said, do you think that Isaiah Rodgers knocked it to CJ Richard Sherman style on purpose, or do you think that he was just knocking the ball down? I guess we'll hear Isaiah talk about it after the game. But
he did look like he was kind of like trying to give it some air.
Yeah, I mean, put it right into his chest. My guess is it was coincidental. But great play regardless. If CJ wasn't there to pick that off, it would still be an awesome play by Rodgers.
With Chase, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL.
Yes, outstanding play.
But would you like
Jefferson, Chase, Dotson?
Would you like a little color from the locker room, courtesy of Dave Zangaro?
Sure.
He said the first thing he saw when he walked in is Nick Sirianni screaming and singing PYT. Pretty Young Thing by Michael Jackson. So the locker room is partying.
Okay.
Thought you might have a reaction.
Somewhere Zach is wondering what's Pretty Young Thing. He doesn't know that song.
Yeah, but when Zach walks in the locker room, he's got his Shazam up, and he wants to be able to identify what the music is. I thought the offensive line did hold up well. And Steen, aside from the penalties, seemed to hold up fine. We got to see Cam Jurgens in the open field on some of these run plays. Seemed like they did a good job.
I was surprised that we didn't see more blitzing from Cincinnati, because that has been a talking point with them. They had no pass rush early on in the season, and it wasn't until they started blitzing more the last month or so where you started to see that pressure rate start to jump, especially with some of the issues that we've seen from Jalen Hurts at times against the blitz and how often teams are willing to blitz him. I was surprised that we didn't see more blitzes from Cincinnati in this game. It's possible that they happened and we just didn't notice them because the offensive line did such a great job of blocking that up. But that was a little surprising. I'm interested to see what that looks like from a number standpoint.
I do think that this offensive performance changes my opinion of the team in general. It raises the ceiling. We've sort of talked about all of the elite pieces they have personnel-wise on offense. It hasn't come together. We haven't seen that upside. By the numbers, this was the 7th best offensive performance by any team in a game this season. Wow. To see that they can put it together to that level does mean that this is a team that, there's a long way to go. We're not even halfway through the season yet, but that they have that it makes you feel better about what could be coming down the line.
It was the after the interception by CJ Gardner-Johnson where they go on a 12-play drive and finish with a touchdown. That was the touchdown to
probably just a Jalen Hurts.
Yes, right. That was a Jalen Hurts touchdown. But that was one where we were talking. I said this is a perfect Daniz drive because it was 12 plays. But only 1 3rd down on the entire drive. And so it just showed the willingness or the effectiveness in being able to move the football. It didn't take all 4 downs at times to be able to get the ball and change a new series. So I think when you look at their ability to be able to move the ball at will, so it was certainly big in this one.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Jalen Hurts, he just looked different. It was a different player in the second half. I thought in the first half, he was kind of telegraphing a lot of his balls. Like the defense was all over him. They kind of knew what to expect. That one Gainwell pass, like they sniffed out way too early.
That was a terrible pass.
He missed AJ late in the game, but I thought the second half he was
third quarter which they ended up scoring.
Well, they scored on, so you can't complain.
AJ's like galloping around because he's so wide open.
But like other than that, the second half it was an entirely different player.
It's like they opened up the playbook for him, Lambie himself.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what a performance in the second half from Jalen Hurts. Like that's Jalen that we expect each and every week.
It's Dr. Jekyll and
Noah
Mr.
Curry's
Hyde
favorite player.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's exactly who that is. Noah Curry's favorite player.
I think there is the description of this team that they can be sort of front runners, right? And like they like to be out in front. And I don't think that that's necessarily unfair. But Vinny, you can speak to like when you have a performance like this, now a 3-game winning streak, 2 blowout wins in a row, you can start to believe
absolutely.
That we can be the big bads.
Now you got Jacksonville coming in here.
Yep.
You know, with former head coach Doug Peterson. So you mean to tell me that the blood and the juice is not going to be flowing in that locker room? Hey, you know what I mean? Now we're going for the 4th consecutive win, and I think this is going to be one of those weeks that they'll put on another dominant performance.
We were asked in the chat. Benjamin D asked about the first completion of the game, first pass attempt. No, not DiNucci. But we asked about the first completion of the game to A.J. Brown. We talked about it at the halftime show. But it was a deep in-breaker, a deep dig route to Brown in the middle of the field. And it's funny because that might have been one of the only completions we saw, like in between the hashes from Hurts in this game. But to me, like you had 3 deep in-breakers on that play, and you had one coming from the right, and that was A.J. Brown. You had 2 coming from the left. Typically, I hate plays like this because you're just inviting extra bodies. If Jalen Hurts is looking to his right and he wants to hit A.J. Brown, he's looking at his A.J. open. He's not looking over to the other side. So if one of those other in-breaking routes brings a defender into the passing lane that Jalen doesn't account for, it can turn into a disaster and an interception going the other way. But I felt like just because Cincinnati was making so much effort to try and take away the outside, they weren't necessarily didn't have as many bodies in the middle of the field. I know that was a little bit of a talking point, certainly for Cincinnati coming into this one, to be able to not, they're not going to attack the middle of the field. The Eagles took advantage, and look, that was a big throw.
Show it once.
Yeah, well, just do it one time, and then everything else outside the numbers.
Yeah, there we go. JP, can we bring up the Nolan Smith sack? We'll get into that and let Vinny break down how Nolan Smith in his second year is turning into a real player for this Eagles defense, if we can pull that bad boy up. All right.
The University of Georgia. You try and single block him.
This is the Jalen Carter play, where he throws
wrong
it off
Georgia Bulldog.
Well, I mean, he throws it off.
All showed up.
Yeah, the Bulldogs Philly Dogs are playing well.
All right, here we go. You can make it bigger. All right, take us through, Vinny.
Look at the get off. First of all, I want you to see the get off and the way he just gets low and bends on himself. Right there.
And that's against Amaris Mims, right?
Just rewind that a little bit. Just bring it back. The get off is so fast that our clicker can't even get with it. How about that? And just to get that low, and then wow. The momentum shift from on that first down sack like that is crazy.
I have heard the description of like defensive linemen working on their pass rush moves in the NFL. It's like, and Fran, you've talked about this before. It's like year 1, you've got 1 move.
Right.
Year 2, you get a second move. Year 3, you get like the counters to those moves.
Right.
Is that what you sort of see from Nolan? Is that fair?
Yeah, you're seeing not just that. You're seeing Nolan confidence.
Yep.
And to what got him to the NFL in the first place, but now you're seeing him in confidence of being a third-year player. And that's exactly what you see right here. Like straight speed, bend the corner. I'm better than you. I'm more athletic than you. Sack.
Right, because he knows he used to practice against Amaris Mims, right?
He used to practice against Amaris Mims. And one of the things I like about this was a rush move that DeMarcus Lawrence has really. I mean, he was one of the first in the league to really get going with that like Superman move where he took to the air, left his feet, and they're kind of similar build. Whereas DeMarcus Lawrence was like 6'3", 250 coming out of Boise State a few years. He might have been your draft class, right? Was he 2012? He might have been the year before, 2011. But DeMarcus Lawrence, similar kind of body type to Nolan Smith. And so what you like to see too is, and Vinny, I'd love to hear your take on this too. When you're watching other guys around the league, you want to try. You're 2014, man. It all blends together.
But
when you're trying to copy what other guys are doing, you're not watching Von Miller, right?
No.
He's a much different body type. You want to see other guys that are built your way.
Guys that you think is like your body type.
Right.
And
Who would you watch?
When I was playing, obviously the guy was on our team. I was just watching T. Cole.
Sure.
Yep. I did a lot of T. Cole watching. Cliff Averill.
That's good, yeah.
Those two was like the ones I would really always go to and watch and see what they was doing. And once they started like bumping me inside a little bit, I would watch a little bit of Michael Bennett.
I was just gonna ask you about him.
Yeah, absolutely. So those three guys, if you really like, I kind of took a lot from those three.
Yeah, but to me, like that's always a great sign too. Is just seeing, hey, you know what? That's a move that we haven't really seen from Nolan yet. Right. So for him to say like, all right, like this is what he's kind of working on and trying to figure that stuff out. And we saw him in training camp, like very up and down in one-on-ones. And in one-on-ones, I mean, you're trying stuff out for the first time. So that can be mixed results with guys. So just seeing Nolan kind of work through that, and now it's been 3 weeks in a row with a sack. It's certainly good to see.
All right, let's check out these super chats we have as well, because we want to hear how you guys feel if this game has changed your opinion of this team.
The juice is back.
The juice is back. We got a long season to go. It'd be nice to have it going. Aaron, he's just donating. We appreciate that, Aaron. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Aaron.
And then he says, just me, or did Jalen look better running the ball? I think I agree with that. I thought he looked.
He did the plant.
I feel like I keep fooling myself with this because the numbers don't necessarily bear it out, but I thought he did look juicier today with the ball.
There was that one really nice escape from the pocket where he stepped up in the pocket, I think in the second quarter, and I think he got a first down on like a 2nd and 8 or 9. He looked good there. He did the classic Jalen plant and juke and go the other move. That to me was like all I needed to see. I think he feels good and healthy again.
I'm starting to think because of the numbers like not bearing that out. I'm wondering like, all right, is it the defense they're going up against is just a slower defense, and so he looks a little bit faster today versus what he looked like another one. But look, we coming into this one, we talked about it on Thursday's show. The Bengals have not been good at defending the quarterback run. They gave up more rushing yards to quarterbacks than any team in the NFL going into this one. So Jalen Hurts, not just scrambles, but and not just tush pushes, but you saw regular zone read. He scored a touchdown on the zone read. We saw a quarterback draw in this game. So just finding different ways for him to be able to impact the offense with his legs.
This is a happy place post game. Down's back, birds are back. Can we give Saquon a touchdown on the goal line, please? This is kind of ridiculous. I mean, give a guy a touchdown.
I agree with it. It's first and goal for the
what
one.
Are you doing?
Like, reward the guy.
Reward him. He just made that tiptoe down to get you to the one. Give the man the touchdown.
I totally agree. And it's also like it's a little bizarre. Like, does Jalen really need another one? You think they're chasing that record?
I mean, didn't he break? He broke one today.
He passed Wilbert, so he's now second in all time for the Eagles in total rushing touchdowns.
And then what he do for it's like the first player in NFL history to have
three in a row
games with 3 rushing touchdowns.
Right.
Give Saquon. I mean, that guy can get in too.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like bordering on ridiculous.
Yeah. Spread the wealth.
Yeah.
Also, you're the quarterback, don't you? Like, isn't that the whole deal? Like, let everybody eat.
He did let him spike it after the last one.
I know one person that's home right now going crazy. Is happy that Jalen had 3 touchdowns.
Who's that?
That's my son.
He's got him in fantasy.
You got another win this weekend?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we won.
Crushing it.
We won 28-0.
There you go.
Yeah,
shutout.
Yeah.
Now that's I think we just like all Eagles fans need to just be fans of that team. Like, they're going to reward you. That's fantastic. AJ continues to just be awesome, and it's like
beast.
It's a given.
5 for 84 feels like a quiet day.
Yeah,
right.
You can't stop this guy. He's unbelievable.
Always open.
He is, and I mean, listen. Jalen Hurts only completed 16 passes in this game, and they put up 37 points. 6 to DeVonta, 5 to AJ, 3 to Grant Calcaterra, and then 1 each to Nolan Barkley. Like it continues to be a very narrow focus in the passing game.
Yeah, and if it is if he's only throwing 18 passes in a game, we saw last week under 21 pass drops total. If the numbers are going to continue to be that way, that's what it's going to be, that tight funnel. It's not going to be, hey, he threw 18 passes and it was 4, 3, 4, 2. Like it's going to be 7 for AJ, 7 for DeVonta, and then the scraps for everybody else.
I'm excited to see in your film studies this week in your article, it felt like the first time the Eagles receivers were just kind of naturally open. There was the one that AJ sat down in the zone. That was a great job by AJ. But like even on the sideline, a couple plays, it felt like guys actually had like 2, 3, 4 yards of separation on some plays.
Yeah, I mean, there was the one play of DeVonta that stands out where they ran like a vertical route on the inside, and he's just running kind of a hitch route. It was great separation from DeVonta.
I don't know if that says more about Cincy's defense or the Eagles' offense.
But that's the thing, is that when you play offense that way, if you're going to play basically ISO ball, I mean, you need your guys to win one-on-one. And a lot of times, DeVonta is a guy that's going to consistently win one-on-one. He's a great route runner that way. He's so smooth in and out of cuts. So, it just depends on where the ball's going on that given route, where if he's going to be that open or not.
Would you like some not safe for work Quinyon Mitchell stat porn?
Yeah,
always.
The companies who care about cursing, just turn it off for a second. Go ahead, Jay.
2 targets today, 1 catch allowed for 13 yards, 0 touchdowns, and a 70.8 passer rating allowed, which was the team low by starters, and he lined up with Jamar Chase. This kid is special.
I think it's pretty good.
I mean, Jamar Chase is a top 5 wide receiver in this league.
Yes.
And this is his, 7th game of his career? That's
in the drop pick. You forgot to add the drop pick?
Yeah.
In the drop pick.
That's 3 drop picks. Well, 3 should have been picks already this year.
Not enough ball disruptions, though, right, Fran?
No, not enough. Oh, yeah, he just got the 1. So, but I think I'm okay for the Super Bowl. Not that I was keeping track or anything, but I think I'm all right.
Oh my God, you're like screaming at the TV when they show the LSU
Oklahoma
play.
Yeah. Fred Johnson allowed just 1 pressure on 22 pass blocking snaps, 4.5%, his lowest pressure rate allowed this season.
Wow.
Revenge
nice job by Fred Johnson. Yes, showing up big time.
Yeah,
Vinny, is like Stoutland you? Do people make too much of it? Because, I mean, if you consider Goddard, basically at points today, they were down 3 of their top 6 blocking parts. And Fred Johnson and Tyler Steen, like Stoutland, what is it? Does he have like some offensive line dust? Like,
nah, man. Coach Stout is probably one of the greatest offensive line coaches to coach, man. And guys, when you get a chance to play for him and meet him, you would want to run through a brick wall. He could get you fired up. He used to have us all fired up. Offensive line and defensive line, and it would help each and every guy out. And when you talk about relationships with a player and a coach, Stout give you that relationship. He definitely give you that uncle / father figure relationship with guys.
Did he ever cross over with you guys and help you point out things?
Yes. Excuse me. Absolutely.
That was a regular thing for him?
Oh, absolutely. Super regular thing, because the way the meeting rooms were set up, you could hear him yelling and a vibration through the wall. He would be going crazy. And then we should stick our head in there. He was like, oh, you want to stick your head in here? Put your head on. He'll put stuff on. But it's coming from a good place, man. Stout is the man, bro. And anybody who ever played for him would let you know that.
You said something when we were watching the game, not to change the subject, but I thought it was really interesting. You were talking about watching the Saquon Barkley mic'd up against the Giants.
Yes.
And you've played against Saquon. You share what you share with us?
I was just saying, some of that Philadelphia swagger, that edginess is definitely rubbing off on him, man. And I think he's loving it, and he's doing a great job at it.
Because he never talked when you played him, right?
Really talking to you. Didn't really.
Really?
Well, at least not that I can remember. You know what I mean?
But
just to see him, he was barking that whole entire game. Obviously, he's against his old team, so he's fired up. But
I think it's the
when
BG
you play
effect.
The Eagles, everybody's talking.
BG's rubbing off on him.
Oh, he's rubbing off. He's rubbing off.
I thought that was really interesting.
So.
Hopefully, he's not like the smell is not rubbing off.
But Saquon, to steal a Seinfeld line, he is real and he is spectacular. This dude,
he's awesome.
He's every point of contact, he's getting 3 more yards. This guy just falls forward and he's positive on every play. And you know what's incredible? If he just catches the ball in the Atlanta game, they're 6-1 right now. And I know you can do that with any, but this season, this is unbelievable signing by.
He's a much more patient runner than I was expecting.
Yeah,
and I think we talked about heading into the season, Fran, that he's not a perfect running back. He looks like one this year.
With the Giants, he was, and with Penn State, he was a very feast or famine player, where he was constantly looking for that big home run, and so he would take -2, -3, +0, +1, up 55 yards out the back door. But with him, he showed up in the first game against Green Bay. I was so taken aback by how willing he was to just accept those double runs. I'm going to put my head down and take 6. And we saw that in this game. I mean, he finished with 108 yards, 4.9 a carry, but he didn't have he didn't have a run of double digit until the end.
He
had the 19 and the 16 on that final drive where he ran for 50 yards, but it was 6 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards. Like, to me, I would much prefer a guy with that style as opposed to the way that Saquon played previously. So to see him do that, and honestly, that's a huge hat tip to Jamal Singleton, the running backs coach, because this is three backs in a row where we have seen that jump. Because DeAndre Swift was the same way in Detroit. He was always big play hunting, and they got him to be a much more disciplined runner last year. And Miles Sanders in his last year was the polar opposite as well from what we had seen previously with Miles. And so huge hat tip to Jamal Singleton or with the job he's done in the backfield.
Or it's all Ben Van Sumeren, because we have a super chat from Vince who wants to know what you think of Ben Van Sumeren.
Our new fullback?
Yeah.
Okay, they showed up late in the game, and this one it was after the Stoll injury, and so they started to mix that up again. What I like what they're doing there with Van Sumeren is you're seeing some of those typical like fullback runs, but then they're setting it up for some more creative ways to get to like the typical split zone, right? Where instead of it just being like a bob run where it's fullback blocking the linebacker at the second level and he's leading the way, where he like puts his foot in the ground and breaks back to the other way to block the defensive end. And if you're the defensive end, you're not necessarily worried thinking about the fullback coming at you at times on the backside. So just kind of mixing those looks up. That's creative coaching. Really good job from the coaches on that side.
Vinny, how do you feel? I asked Jamie about this in the kickoff show, but I mean, hoodie. Fran has come with the suit jacket on us.
Big time on us.
Yo, Fran, the swag is impeccable. I was looking down there.
He's even got the
He's got
Bengal colored dunks on.
But it's crazy. I like him though.
Bengal color.
I know, that's the only thing I heard. There were Bengals colors.
Yo,
That's all I got here.
It brings it out.
All right, I take it. Thank you.
You know what I mean? Dressed to impress.
He's making us look bad.
He knew it was going to be a dominant performance. He wanted to look great.
I said
felt
it
good
pregame.
this morning.
I said it pregame. I said I woke up, so I was going back and forth in this
And
game.
I denied
for the
your
last few days.
optimism.
And I was like, look, to me, this feels like it's a huge game. This is a big opportunity for the Eagles to come out and make a statement. So I was like, I kind of feel like I got to wear a jacket today just because this is a big opportunity. So they came through for me.
Like I said, like the most impressive part about it is as we sit here and we talk about this dominant performance, but this is the way we expected them to play from the beginning of the season.
Right.
And it's just like, okay, let's get
Yeah,
forward.
this and the Packers are your two best wins, and you scored 34 and 37 points.
Congrats.
You know, like this is what the offense.
Turnovers.
Yeah, no turnovers.
Yep.
Yeah, that's 3 straight weeks
straight.
for no turnovers for Jalen, which is really good. But that's what I think why this season was frustrating, or so frustrating at times, at least for me, was because you knew this was there. And it's like, and you're still not seeing it in the first quarter.
Yeah.
You still haven't seen 4 quarters put together yet. So there's still room for some frustration. But like, it's there. They can do it. It's just kind of like, all right, we'll do it.
Okay, if you can get a field goal on the opening drive, just this is it opens the floodgates. Yeah. We get to 37. We had another super chat asking you, Vinny, for another Saquon. Don't turn him into you got to pay him to do it. Let it be organic. All right, we will keep going in just a minute before another word from our sponsors. Because a lot has changed over the years, but one thing that hasn't is the great taste of Miller Lite as Jamie sucks them back, baby. Another thing that hasn't changed is that it remains less filling. So what is the best thing about the original light beer? Miller Lite sparked this debate in 1975, and we still haven't settled it. And guess what? You don't have to pick. You can have both with Miller Lite, the original light beer since 1975, because Miller Lite keeps it simple, undebatable quality, great taste, and only 96 calories. It is the beer that strips away everything you don't need and holds on to what matters most. A light beer that tastes like beer, less filling, and only 96 calories. You don't have to choose what's best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/PHLY-birds, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.
With my man Devon Givens, when he tells me something, I listen. And when Devon, I saw firsthand, bounce back from his knee injury with the help of the people at Rothman Orthopedics. I've been kind of lying to myself and denying a little bit of a shoulder issue myself, so I got to go get that checked out. And I know exactly where I'm going because if Devon gives it the blessing, I'm all in. And that's Rothman Orthopedics. You know the name. They've been around forever. They have 200-plus fellowship-trained physicians that specialize in specific areas of the body and a multitude of orthopedic services, including hips, knees, spine, shoulders and elbow, foot and ankle, hand and wrist, sports medicine, physical medicine, and, of course, rehabilitation. Orthopedic oncology, trauma, and fracture care. What that means is they've got you covered. Whatever it is, Rothman Orthopedics has the person for you. They proudly serve dozens of communities across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and with 30 convenient offices, urgent cares, and walk-in centers. For more than 50 years, Rothman has participated in thousands of groundbreaking research and clinical trials with the goal of achieving and advancing knowledge, developing treatments, and improving outcomes for the benefit of their patients. Rothman Orthopedics, specialize in orthopedics, and you. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and make an appointment today.
All right, we will bide our time before Zach Berman checks in. Big day for Zach after the wedding of his brother last night.
Where does Zach go in the locker room today? You know Zach as well as anyone. Where's he huddling up?
It's a great question. Because Jalen is the story for Zach.
Sure.
But he's got the press conference.
Oops, sorry.
You're good.
I think that Zach is he's doing something on the turnovers. They finally turned the ball over. I think he's talking to Isaiah Rodgers, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Nakobe Dean, Zach Bond.
Okay.
Time will tell. We'll find out soon.
We'll see if that's a good call or not. You guys want to hear some snap count stuff?
Absolutely.
Always.
Jordan Davis is always the guy I think of with snap counts. I always want to know where he's at.
So the defense played 58 total snaps, 55 of them starters before that last possession. CJ Gardner-Johnson, Zach Bond, Reed Blankenship, Quinyon Mitchell play all 55. Nakobe Dean 51. Cooper DeJean 47. That's a lot of nickel.
Ooh.
Defensive line, Jalen Carter leads the way with 45. Josh Sweat 38. Nolan Smith 30. 28 for Milton Williams, 25 for Moro Ajama, 22 for Bryce Huff, 22 for Jordan Davis, 21 for Brandon Graham.
Interesting. Yeah, they played more nickel than I thought they would.
A lot
considering.
of nickel.
Is Cooper DeJean forcing that decision?
I mean, the thing is because he's a bigger nickel corner, they might feel a little bit more confident if it's 1st and 10 versus 12 personnel, saying, okay, we'll stay with nickel here.
Because Avante did come in, was that the second quarter, and he immediately started getting picked on a little.
It was a dime.
I guess they're playing dime defense on third down.
But I wonder if they're just trying to get DeJean on the field as much as possible.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. They just feel more comfortable matching nickel to base in some more neutral downs.
I did think that Jordan Davis played well when in the middle of that run defense.
One tackle on the stat sheet, but I thought that
he ran into a wall.
Yeah, I thought he looked stout. Went on a couple times. You kind of noticed him just watching the broadcast. So doubled his snap count from last week. I'm excited to see what it looks like on film.
You disappointed that Vic Fangio didn't want Sidney Brown to be part of the defensive game plan against his twin brother?
Nope, because it kept him from tackling his brother and giving Zach a point and swooper. So I'm good there.
It was a very Sirianni was talking about on Friday. Like wistfully, like the idea of, like that's so cool, like to have two, like the collision of the two brothers. I'm like, collision. Is that great?
I did like the bit the Eagles did in the locker room. The social media team did a thing where they put a picture of both guys and they said, "Can you pick which one is Sydney?" That was pretty good. That was well done.
It's very difficult.
Yes.
On offense, 54 snaps for the starters. Most of the key guys playing a ton. Calcaterra plays 52 of 54. Saquon 49 of 54. A.J. Brown 48. Stoll 30, and he got hurt in this game. Only 21 snaps for Jahan Dotson and no targets again.
Remind me last year when Goddard got hurt last year, that was more of a platoon, right? With between Stoll and Calcaterra as opposed to...
It was mostly Stoll.
It was mostly Stoll? Yeah. Okay. I mean, Calcaterra clearly becoming the primary guy at that spot here this year in year 3.
And it has a little juice in the passing game.
No doubt. Yeah, we saw the 19-yarder just before half. The one towards the end, that was a big play. And they didn't show us a great replay. My thought watching that play live was that it was the same exact play that they ran to Saquon Barkley on the touchdown against the Packers, where he caught that wheel route, and we were like, "Oh, look at the motion, look at it." But Dallas Goedert was there in the passing window. That looked like the same play, but it went to the tight end there to Calcaterra. Nice catch and run there from Jalen Hurts.
You like what you're seeing from Jordan Davis?
I mean,
I caught you off guard.
no. Listen, did we stop the run today?
That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Something we can ask for.
Yeah.
If you, like I said, like I talked about this a couple weeks ago. If you're looking for some type of crazy pass rush, you're not gonna get that. We're not asking that from him.
Yeah.
Did you do your job to the best of your ability? And I think he did. So you're looking for something spectacular, you're not gonna get that. But if he did his job and we stopped the run, I'm happy for it. So I like what I saw.
So Ojimo probably is in on more, clear passing
That's what I'm
down
saying,
than
yeah.
Davis. So
You know?
didn't run the ball a lot. So that might explain the snap count.
Meanwhile, we talked to Nakobe, but he continues to impress you, Vinny.
Oh, bro.
He had some attitude out there too.
Man,
Does he remind you of anybody you played with?
He's just fast, man. He's fast. He's all over the field. I would say that, I won't say he remind me of anybody, but I would say that he's making the path right now. He's making an argument for himself to create his own lane.
I like that.
The guy that I always because I questioned, a lot of people thought he was a first-round player when he was coming out of Georgia, and I never quite saw him there. But the guy I thought, if he hits, Demario Davis was the guy that came to mind as like that. All right, this would be like best case scenario.
And
for
it took
Nakobe.
him a while as well.
And it did, yeah. And he really didn't hit his peak until he had some good years with the Jets, but when he went to the Saints was really when he kind of got unlocked there. And a big part of his success with the Saints is, hey, you know what? He's going to play as a stacked player on early downs, but then when they get into third down and that pass rush package, he's down on the line of scrimmage and running stunts and twists. And he's going to man up on the back. So we'll see. To me, like Nakobe, 2 good games in the start, three good games to start. 2 bad games in the middle there. The Tampa game and the game coming out of the bye were rough. Last 2 weeks, he's really showed up. So I'm excited to see if he can keep that rolling.
And so if we tilt things forward, Jags coming to town next week.
Yep.
How would you feel having to go up against Doug?
I got the Eagles. Up. Winning 28-14.
Oh, an early pick.
Yeah, I love it.
Come on, man.
Nice.
I'm rolling with it. Like I said, it's when your defense is playing the way they're playing. I just see how you not pick them to win again. You know what I'm saying? The defense is finally clicking, and anytime you got always open the Slim Reaper and Saquon in the backfield with Jalen Hurts at the helm, man, I think this is exactly what we've been asking for this whole entire season.
Yeah, and the Jaguars fought today. Doug's kind of like dead man walking there.
It's tough.
So that's a good sign for him at least. That the team showed up and fought for him today, 2 weeks after being in London, coming back, kind of a weird spot. I could have seen them folding today. They lose by 3, but they had a hard fought game to the Packers. That being said, you got to beat the Jaguars when they come into town. You just got it.
Where does Doug rank in terms of your favorite head coaches?
Oh, he's definitely up there.
Ice Cream did it.
Yeah. He's definitely up there. We love Doug. So
Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah, how can you not?
Yeah.
Let's get some ice cream.
He top 2.
Okay.
Chips number 1.
Let's not take it to the extreme.
I can think of some people who are not number 1. All right. Zach tells us that he is on his way up, so we will hear from him shortly. What do you want to learn from the locker room?
I actually do. I hope that you're right that he talked with Isaiah Rodgers. I want to hear what Isaiah Rodgers said about the interception, because I am kind of wondering. I went and looked, tried to find a replay of it. He did swat it right to CJ. I wonder if it was purposeful.
That is like the teaching point.
Sure,
that's
yeah.
the inside hand, right? And so you put it back in the field of play because you're getting help.
I think the coolest thing about that play is Isaiah had to know they was going to try him. Like, Darius go down.
No doubt.
Oh yeah, I'm going. Yeah, let's put our guy over there, and we're going to try.
That's a great point.
You know what I mean? I'm going right.
Gotta be ready.
He got up on that too.
Yeah, and I thought he just rose to the occasion.
Crave on the block style.
Yeah. Don't piss down your leg. Yeah. Any other guesses on who Zach has talked to in the locker room? What do you think his focus is?
I could see him talking to Nolan Smith. 3 weeks in a row, he's getting a sack. He looks fast out there. I could see him maybe stopping by Nolan's stall.
With the attention paid towards Fred Johnson. He talked about Fred Johnson on the kickoff show.
Fred Johnson. He's got a soft spot.
I could see him having talked to Fred. Oren Burks got some action today, so maybe he went over, just made an excuse to talk to Oren.
3 snaps and then again.
He loves Oren Burks.
He does love Oren Burks. All right, let us know if you have any other questions in the chat. Happy to cycle through as we wait for Mr. Berman. Oh, we have one more super chat from JZ23 who says, "What could I complain about to my coworkers this week?"
First quarter still.
Yeah, I think also they're trying to draw them offsides on the 2-point conversion, which, I mean, I could still yell about that for another 25
that
minutes.
one was just you guys you lucked into not lucked into the touchdown, but you took a touchdown by review on the tush push. Like, just kick the extra point, go to the locker room, and let's just keep this thing rolling. Yeah, it was.
And they flashed to Nick. He's like, "Yeah, we can."
Yeah,
like, why?
And of course, you can always complain about Saquon not getting the touchdown chances.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I've already gotten 2 texts from buddies who lost bets because they had Saquon anytime touchdown scores.
That was the part of the parlay, right?
Yeah, no,
that was part of the parlay.
And the other ones hit.
I had AJ over
Chase and AJ hit,
75 and Saquon anytime.
Was Jamar Chase was the other one?
Oh, yeah,
50.
Jamar Chase. Yeah,
Chase
so
over
Saquon
50.
touchdown, I would have
Would
hit
have
the parlay.
hit the parlay.
Oh man,
Sirianni owes the people at Bet365. Everybody that jumped on that odds boost today.
brutal.
Nick owes you money.
You know what else was big, which I had forgotten about, was the missed field goal in the first half by Evan McPherson. That would have put them up 10, right?
Yep.
Maybe the game changes if that goes in.
That was the drive where Jermaine Burton had the 41-yard catch,
Yes,
and
over
so
Slay.
over Slay down the right sideline, puts them in range to score there. But you had a run for +3 and then 2 straight incompletions to get off the field. So a great job certainly by the defense tightening up there, because as we've talked about on the other side, when you get those explosive plays, how often they lead to touchdowns, and the Eagles defense tightening up there after giving up the explosive.
Bo, funny tweet out there I think you might enjoy from Panasonic DX 4500. I'm going to be so annoyed if it turns out that Nick Sirianni's shaving of his head was actually the fix. So a lot of people are talking about it. Could that have been what turned the season around? You know?
Undefeated since.
Can't argue with facts.
But the question then becomes, does he keep it that tight, or can you never cut it again because this was a lucky haircut? You got to let it grow for the rest of the season.
That's hard. Ugh. I think you got to reshave it, right?
I think you got to let it grow. I think he can't cut it again until they lose.
Okay.
Then you go right back to the bald.
Okay. The first loss.
Yeah.
Then you shave it.
You reset with the shave.
Okay. All right. I'm in on that plan.
We got another super chat that's just going to set you off, by the way.
I count, JZ23 says, I count the field goal as a first quarter score. I mean, they did score on their first
It's an
possession.
opening drive score, yes, but not a first quarter score.
It doesn't set me off.
No.
I disagree.
Yeah, right.
It's not their fault. They scored in the opening.
Yeah, Burrow was 5 for 5 on third down on that opening drive. That took like 9 minutes. That was
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Yeah.
That's not a fun way to start, I imagine, on defense.
No, it ain't. You know, I mean, like, we all screaming like, what is going on? And then, once things settle down, domination kicks in.
It was one of those things too where you talked about it at halftime, where they threw everything they had at you in that first drive.
Yeah.
They go 5 for 5, really creative, lots of motion. They were
You
able
could
to move the ball.
definitely tell that was their first 15 scripted plays.
Yeah, we're going to dig deep into our bag. They almost kept them out of the end zone. It was a great play call, great play design. They got game planned out on that touchdown. That was basically it. After that, so outstanding job from the defense.
Steve says, Bo, what is your thought on slow game starts? I think they should punt on the first play of the game, and then just after that, you're good to go.
Yeah, a mental hurdle. Just get
yeah. I mean, I think the numbers in the middle of this game were in the first half, the Eagles were like the 16th best offense. In the second half of the game, they're the 3rd best offense in football, and it sort of continues to play out that way. I don't know why that is. I don't know why the opening script stuff continues to underwhelm relative to their performance the rest of the game. I don't have a good explanation.
And the thing we don't know is, obviously we're on the outside looking at internally. There is a coach that one of the assistants is in charge of making sure that they pull ideas for the opening script, and then they work together as a staff to say, okay, this is going to be the script. So who knows how that coach has evolved over the course of this. Have they changed responsibilities? Right. That's one of the things on the outside that we just don't know. We're not aware of.
But we do know that Nick Sirianni has a reputation for being very hard on his assistant coaches.
No doubt. Yep.
Right. And so I imagine that is a thing that whether he has changed it or not, he has made a point to try to fix it somehow.
Yeah. And the weird part about it is, they typically have failed like for different reasons every week. We've seen like times where they've come out and tried to have early down runs and they get stuff for no yards, and that's different than when it's 3 straight passes and it's 3 incompletions. So yeah, I mean the big thing that you constantly hear is like, all right, you want to try and get the quarterback into a rhythm, find some of those easy rhythm throws. And so in this one, I mean, they had 9 plays in the opening drive and they go down and they score points. So, technically that would be a success from the Eagles offense to start this game, but not a first quarter point though. Can't count it.
We don't have Zach yet, right, JP? That's slow, man.
Well, he said he had a hard time getting in the stadium, so maybe he's lost in the bowels, getting the right elevator.
Look at that timing.
He's hungover from the wedding yesterday.
Party animal.
He's going to be really upset with you for that one.
All right. We have the man, Zach Berman, Cincinnati. What a travel day it has been. We can smell it on your breath from here, Zach. The sweat coming out of your pores. How you doing? Good backdrop.
I'm doing well. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. What can you smell out of my pores? I didn't catch that.
The booze from last night's wedding.
Oh, no. First off, I was pretty responsible, man. I had an early flight, and it was a school night for me. But yeah, I can tell you what seemed like a wedding was that locker room after the game.
Nice. Give us the vibe. Yeah. The best performance they've had in a very long time, Zach.
Yeah. So, look, I'm not good with music, and I didn't have the Shazam up, but it's like I'm not gonna sing it for you. But what's the song "Dancing"? What's the song "Dancing the Night Away" that you hear at weddings? Like that.
So, could you give us a little more?
I think I had it. Keep going.
Dancing the night away, like that. You know what I'm saying? Are those the lyrics? Anyways, that song. When I listen back to my audio, I'll put it up.
Can you say it one more time?
No, that's okay. But in any event, it was like a wedding in there in terms of the music they were playing, right? It was a festive, excited locker room for the reason that you mentioned. This was a major authoritative win, right? I mean, Joe Burrow, it was interesting. Speaking to Nakobe Dean in the locker room, the question was posed to him.
Called it.
What would you have said if someone told you would keep the Bengals to 17 points? And his response was,
why was it only 17?
There you go. Wait, like they're scoring 17 points?
Yeah. That was the guess.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry. I'm in a booth and someone walked in. I just had to respect that. Yeah. So basically, this is a confident team. This is a team playing with confidence, and you can see it on the field. You can feel it. Speaking to CJ Gardner-Johnson about that interception, and even about Cooper DeJean's big 4th down stop. He said that was a veteran play, which you don't usually see by rookies, which typically, yeah, of course, if it's a veteran play, you don't see it by rookies, right? And CJ Gardner-Johnson was just giving a lot of credit to Isaiah Rodgers, and speaking to Isaiah Rodgers about that play that he made and how it's something that they drill on in practice, and the sun's in his eyes, but he knows CJ's there, and like that's team defense there. That's what you rep. Jalen Hurts. Did you guys listen to Jalen Hurts?
No.
Yeah, so it was phrased to Jalen Hurts something about like having this type of performance against Joe Burrow, who is typically viewed as one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And he said he has standards for himself too, right? I mean, he very much views himself in that category. So I think this is a team that even if it wasn't explicit, it was implicit that they're keeping receipts, if you will, and they're making plays. And you know what? They can't play this "nobody believes in us" card after this week, because I think the hype, which is going to be justifiable, will come to them after that type of convincing performance against Cincinnati, especially what they did in the second half.
So Zach, the question was posed here: what will be what would be Zach's game plan for the locker room after this game? Tell us what your game plan was. Who did you go after? What was your angle?
Well, look, guys, I wish guys stayed in the locker a little longer, right? Like, no one here spoke to Saquon Barkley. No one because Saquon, I heard he was by his locker. I didn't see him. I wanted to speak to Saquon. there were certain guys that I wanted to hit or that I wanted to speak to, right? Now, DeVonta Smith, yeah. I got to be careful with all my words around Bo because that would turn into like a 4-minute detour that's unnecessary. So DeVonta Smith was at the podium, and he was at the podium before, or at the lectern to be more specific, before the locker room opened. And so I'm like, all right, well, I know DeVonta is pretty concise. I can get a few minutes of DeVonta and then get in the locker room. So I did that. Then spoke to Lane Johnson. All right. Then I want to get to the defensive side because there's some notable defensive performances. And I wanted to speak to Isaiah Rodgers, and I wanted to speak to CJ Gardner-Johnson, and I wanted to speak to Cooper DeJean. And so I got them.
Pretty close.
Now,
Pretty good.
while I was speaking to Cooper DeJean, they called out for Nick Sirianni. And I missed the beginning of Nick. I hope I didn't repeat questions, but I just wanted to get a flavor of Nick so I could have a sense of how he was, and then left Nick in the middle to get back in there. Caught up with Nakobe Dean, but I didn't get enough of the, I really, and then I'm looking around for Saquon, and I couldn't get Saquon. That still vexes me right now, honestly. And then I spoke to some behind the scene, or not even behind, some like staffers, with the organization.
Jeffrey?
Just about some stuff. I just spoke to some staffers in the organization about some stuff, and then
Jeffrey,
and then I was of course there for Jalen Hurts after the performance he had today.
Of course. All right, yeah. My guess was the defensive guys who were involved in the turnovers finally getting the takeaways. Isaiah, CJ.
Yeah, well, that Isaiah Rodgers play was impressive, right?
Zach, was you able to speak to Nolan?
I was not able to grab Nolan. I will catch him this week, probably on Thursday. Vinny, I wish I did.
Day if we keep asking him about the guys you didn't get to talk to.
You will ruin my day with that, but that's okay. That's part of it, right?
Did Isaiah say that play was on purpose? Was he purposely trying to swat that to CJ?
Yes. He said he said a few things there. So he said he knew they were going to target him there. He's on Jamar Chase. That's their best player, right?
Yeah.
He said that he just got in the game too, right? And he had a sense of like what the play is going to be. And so as he's going, he's looking back. So it was actually in this direction here. So he's looking back, okay? And as he's looking back, the sun is in his eyes. So he sees the ball late. But he knows based on what the call is where CJ is going to be. And so he kind of gets CJ in the corner of his eyes. And so, he hits it to CJ on purpose there. He wanted the pick.
Awesome.
But he hits it to CJ on purpose there. And I said, so is that instinct or is that skill? And he said, no, that's preparation. He said, that's what you do during the week to be in that situation, to know where they are. For instance, Nakobe said that they were so pumped about the fumble recovery because they've been working on this like every single day in practice. These strips, swiping at the ball, stripping at the ball. So when Zach Bond finally got it, it was huge.
So Zach, why does Nick Sirianni hate getting Saquon Barkley touchdowns?
Well, he doesn't. But this was a thing. This goes back, to DeAndre Swift last year. Every time he gets stopped at the one, they know they're gonna, do the brotherly shove. A matter of fact, on the final touchdown, he gave Saquon the ball to spike. Did they show that on TV?
They did,
yeah. Which is like a little bit like sad.
So after Jalen's press conference, I asked Jalen, I said, did you, it looked like you gave the ball to Saquon. He said, yes. And then I said, was that on purpose? Was that intentional? He said, yes, I gave him the ball to spike. And I said, okay, thank you, Jalen. That was a very literal conversation because I did not want to make a big deal about this if it was just the first guy Jalen saw was Saquon and gave him the ball. He said he referenced that he specifically sought out Saquon there. So I know that doesn't help fantasy football owners or gamblers who might have had a Saquon anytime touchdown.
I'm asking for a friend personally.
Yeah, but this is look. I remember. I guess I'll give credit to a different or I'll mention a different podcast, Kelsey's podcast. They probably need some help, right? So we'll mention them on the PHLY Eagles show.
Sure.
Jason Kelsey has a podcast. He had Saquon for an interview back in March because I remember listening on the drive back from the owners' meetings, and he said his warning to Saquon was get into the end zone, don't get stopped at the one, because if you get stopped at the one, it's going to be a quarterback sneak, and you saw that tonight or today.
Zach, having been to many post-game press conferences and locker rooms, I imagine that one of the questions being asked was 10-10 at halftime. What did Nick say at halftime? What were the halftime adjustments? What is the answer to that question?
Yeah, nothing. It was like, they felt good about the way they were playing. Come out of the half quickly and score. That was something and that first drive was a big deal there. They thought. And this is something Jalen said, like game flow was big, and they didn't really touch the ball in the first quarter. Lane said, Lane said, did we score in the first quarter? I was like, no. He's like, yeah. And then he used a word I'm not allowed to use on the show, but they did score on the opening drive. So the person sitting next to me in the press box was arguing that should count as first quarter scoring. I was like, well, no, because it wasn't in the first quarter. You could say they scored on their opening drive, but you can't say they scored in the first quarter because they also allowed a 10-minute drive. But to answer your question, really at halftime, like they felt good about the way things were going. It was just scoring at the end of the half was big because then they were coming out and they thought if they could score to start the half, that would kind of carry the momentum over.
There you go. Any other big takeaways from the locker room, Zach?
Well, yeah, DeVonta Smith. Did you guys listen to DeVonta?
No.
Okay. Yeah, so I asked DeVonta, and you know how like literal DeVonta is. I said on those contested catches, like what's your edge? Because that was a great touchdown catch.
Yeah.
It was.
And he said, I can see the ball and the defender can't. And then I'm like, okay, well, all receivers say I can see the ball and the defender can't. So what specifically do you provide there? And he explained just like the preparation that he works on with Aaron Moorhead in terms of those contested, in terms of the contested catches in practice. He did not. He said he couldn't rate where that catch stood in his career because he hadn't seen it yet. But it was a big deal. He said after the first catch went for negative yards, it's like, oh no, not this again. Right? Because last week he obviously had one catch for -2. I asked him I asked DeVonta what it takes to get a whistle blown when he's getting pushed backwards. He's like, everyone says he has to get down, but you can't go down when you're being held up. Which is actually a very it's a very good point, right?
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Some other stuff from the locker room. CJ Gardner-Johnson said they knew when T. Higgins went out. It's just like, don't let Jamar Chase beat you, right? So don't let him get behind you. He said like they have their guy there. Don't let that guy beat you. And that was a major point of emphasis going into this game. If you might have seen CJ and Jamar Chase jawing like with his finger, with their fingers in his faces, and CJ's message was like, "We're not the defense to, mess around with, if you will." And Cooper DeJean, I asked him about that 4th down stop because that was huge in the game, like absolutely huge
play.
Right after BG's huge stop on 3rd and 1, Zach.
Yeah. And Coop said that like that's what he's supposed to do, and he knew who they were going to on that play. He knew what his fundamentals were on that play. He didn't think the play was a big deal. He's like, they threw it to him, I brought him down. Like that's what my job is. But if I can editorialize, I suppose I got to be careful about editorializing. But that was the.
Is that a Washington Post joke?
He doesn't want to dive back into those waters. It's too contentious.
Precisely. That was
He's literally tightening his collar.
That was. I think today was an example of why of why Cooper DeJean needs to be on the field, and why they made this move. He's just more athletic, more physical player than Avonte Maddox. And this isn't a knock on Avonte. I'm eager to see Sidney Brown in dime because I want to see like a better athlete and like that type of physical player. You know, I think too, Gesicki had that big catch over Avonte, and it's not a knock on Avonte. It's just I would rather Sidney Brown in that spot than Avonte Maddox.
Well, they went a lot of nickel, so
yeah,
I think Vic wanted to see a lot of Coop out there as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Zach, I read the stats earlier. You want to throw some flowers at Quinyon Mitchell today, going up against one of the best wide receivers in the league. Another stellar day from the kid.
Absolutely, and I did not catch up with Quinyon, but yeah, I thought the cover, the back end overall held up well, and I thought a lot of it. Look, when T. Higgins goes down on Friday, it's clearly going to affect your game plan, right?
Sure.
I haven't seen Zach Taylor's press conference yet, but I imagine that's a big thing in terms of what they talked about. So, but like to Vinny's point, one thing you saw was Jamar Chase line up in the slot quite a bit. And so it's so you need to have a nickel out there. But there were times when you have Quinyon Mitchell 1-on-1, and Quinyon was doing his job. I give him a lot of credit there. I give Isaiah Rodgers credit too. Slay goes down. You know, Nick said he has no information on Slay right now, but you know that's certainly an injury we'll have to monitor. And I thought Isaiah Rodgers stepped in, and so I think the back end overall. You know, Fran made the point last week, and then on Tuesday. How you saw the rush and coverage really to use both marry each other well. But I think you're going to see this week in, week out in terms of of the coverage holding. And I'll have egg on my face here. Like I was skeptical going into this game about them stopping Joe Burrow. And look, Joe Burrow was awesome. I thought, especially early in the game, that first drive, he was converting every third down. But
5 for 5, yeah.
Yeah, but look, keeping them to 17 points, that's huge. That's huge, and that was more than enough to win this game.
As somebody that didn't doubt them ever, I agree with you, Zach.
Zach, for those of us and or the listeners, the viewers who did not get to watch the kickoff show, take us through the last 24 hours, the travels of Zach from Nick Berman finally getting made an honest man to your travels this morning.
Yeah, so awesome weekend. I mean, my brother is, all my brothers are great, but Nick's like the baby of the family, and so it was awesome seeing him get married. You know, Friday night, nice rehearsal dinner, welcome drinks, all that. Saturday.
How did your speech go? Hold on. How did your speech go?
I thought it did well. I thought I killed it, actually. Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? Look, it's easy to talk about someone you feel so strongly about, right? And so, yeah, that I could have gone 30 minutes if I had to with Nick. So then, yeah. So I see I'm fuzzy on the camera. That's the Cincinnati Wi-Fi. Has nothing to do with my material here. Okay.
Never.
So yeah. So then, just like I mean, people don't care about me so much. I'll just accelerate this. Had a great brunch with the other groomsmen, and on Saturday did some work. Wrote a story that went up on allphly.com. Transcribed quotes. Did some book stuff. And then last night was the wedding, and you know it was awesome seeing Nick, seeing Nick's friends, talking to all these different people. It was great, fun night. Went to bed last night around 12:15. Left the house at 6:15 this morning. Got to the airport easily. Had a very smooth flight. Saw some Eagles fans. Saw some relatives of Eagles on the flight, and. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's some stuff you keep in the notebook for that, right? And then then take I took an Uber here, got to the stadium around 10:30, got my steps in, walking around trying to find the entrance, but got up. And then I just want to make clear for all those who follow Swooper, once I got up here, I made sure that I tweeted out the photo because the integrity of the game matters.
Impressive by you.
Yeah, and I think it actually cost you.
That's fine. That's
DeVonta
fine.
Was
you know what?
yards, and I think you tweeted at about 11:20 something.
Yeah, 11:24
kickoff.
Yeah.
So it's almost 100. So
good, you know what? If you do the right thing all the time, you stop noticing others start. Right. So that's gonna be my approach here.
Interesting. That could apply to journalism, but we'll save that for another day. Zach, how did the best man speeches compare to your speech?
Oh, they were great. I mean, my brother Alex, my sister Jenna spoke on Saturday, and they were even better than me. Right?
Big man. Okay.
My mother spoke. Yeah, it was even better than mine. Like all the shine belongs on Nick. Honestly, it's nothing to do with me.
Or Nick's lovely bride.
Yeah, actually, yeah, Jesse. All the shine. Although Jesse doesn't want attention. I don't know if Nick does either. But yeah, they deserve they deserve all the love here.
All right, we got a super chat.
And I just want to say too, halftime of this game, met up with some listeners, readers. It was awesome. Some listeners and viewers, I should say, from England who are here. Shout out to them. They say that our show, our podcast got them into the Eagles, or it is like their connection to the team. Shout out to Alex, who's a longtime listener, reader. He came from Chicago for this game. So it's always good seeing PHLY diehards in the wild.
Well, Zach, funny you mentioned that because it's a great time to get an introductory rate at allphly.com. Fran Duffy's film analysis this week will be must-watch. Fran broke down some college players this weekend. Tons of great writers, including yourself. So if you ever thought about getting in at PHLY, great time to do so right now. Great segue, Zach.
There you go.
All right, we have a super chat from Jalen All Sicko Dio Made, who on the one hand says keep Avonte Maddox off the field, but also wants to give us a little Zach. And Zach, why don't you tell us what we're going to be able to read from you on allphly.com when you are a diehard?
Yeah, I'm going to do that thing where like I take some paragraphs and I combine it that it gets to the end. No,
you just got to put one word in front of the other. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Let me see here. So the 5 topics I'll really be hitting on. Jalen Hurts, okay. The star power of the offense and the way they closed the game. The defense's game plan and their performance overall in terms of forcing turnovers. Getting inside that Isaiah Rodgers, CJ Gardner-Johnson interception. And then kind of big picture on Nick Sirianni and how this team's now won back-to-back games by double-digit points. They're 5-2. They're playing a team with a losing record next week. And look, there's a lot of teams in the league who would want to trade places with the Eagles right now. So I think, look, you don't crown anybody on October 27th, and this team still has a lot of work to do. But given I don't want to say the rhetoric, but kind of like the discussion around the team 3 weeks ago, I think it's considerably different now, and I think they earned that, frankly.
Did his shaved head save the season, Zach?
No, I think that's immaterial to it.
Okay.
But I would just give you a quick thing here. Jalen Hurts spoke extensively about the cleat situation, and he said that's never going to happen again. He wore low tops and he double knotted it because he wanted to have the ankle support, and it was they couldn't get it out. He felt really bad for the equipment staff on the Eagles. I know those guys; those are great. So Pete does a great job, right? And Pete felt real bad that they had to burn a timeout. And Jalen's like, "Don't worry, next play." But Jalen's like, "You guys don't realize like how much goes into that in the middle of a game when you can't get your shoe off." So there was one point where he had to wear 2 different shoes, and they had to kind of get that sorted out. But so Nick's hair has nothing to do with the season, but Jalen's shoes has something to do with it. Although if Jalen is superstitious or even a little stitious, that's an office joke. then he'll be mad at a specific reporter who asked him this week about changing his shoes at halftime of the game, and then all of a sudden this actually comes up where he has to change the shoes during the game.
It's funny, Vinny. I noticed this. You as a former player are always much more aware of the cleats that the guys are wearing than I would be just as a casual viewer.
Oh, absolutely. I'm telling you, it's like the old DeJean saying, man, you look good, feel good, play good.
Well, plus we know you got all those Jordans at home.
I read a piece about that at some point.
Yeah, I'd love to read about that. If only there was a place.
Yeah, you know what? Story. People ask why I wear a jacket. I say look good, feel good, podcast well. Right, so
there you go.
That's my approach. Yeah,
that's why I always say Zach.
You and Fran.
You got your haircut is looking sharp too. I gotta admit, man. You're looking sharp.
I'm stabbing me in the back here.
I appreciate it. Look. I'm trying to keep up with Fran with the fade game. So I got to go in a little more frequently here. Ever since Fran joined the show, I feel a little intimidated by the fade game there. So I'm gonna have to change my fade budget to make sure that I keep it fresh.
I have mine next week, Zach. So be ready for next week.
And we know, Zach, how much you care about the backdrop. You did a great job with the backdrop today. Excellent. Right on the 45, and even the angle to give us a little bit of a down blast to that chest hair, looking very good.
so this is a coach's booth where I don't know. So they have like the second level, and so the laptop is up on but it's a little higher than it is at Lincoln Financial Field. So I didn't have time to test it out. So actually, if you saw when I came on, I'm still adjusting, and then I was like, "Whoa, you guys!" Yeah, it's you can see any gray that's in there.
Yeah, but it's all very thick. It's looking good, the hair.
The sunlight is blocking the gray out. You're looking good, man.
There we go.
I appreciate it. Zach, coming from Vinny, that means a lot.
We will talk to you tomorrow on the show at 2:00, and we appreciate all the hard work.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right, Zach.
See you, Zach.
See you, Zach.
All right. I think that'll do it for the PHLY Eagles post-game show presented by Bet365. The Birds, all of a sudden, seem like they're for real. Doug Peterson comes to town next week.
Yeah.
You feel good?
Feel good.
Francis?
Feel good, look good, podcast well. No, it's
gotta be the next shirt. I gotta be the next shirt.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good
look good, feel good, podcast well.
But you know what? It's another week. It's 2 weeks in a row where we can just talk football this week. So it's a welcome arrangement here covering the Eagles.
Heading into halftime, the Commanders are up 6-0 on the Bears.
Wow. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Well, we're Commander watching every weekend now, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles postgame show. A demonstrative second half performance for the Eagles gives them a 37-17 win, 5-2. We are back all week on the PHLY Eagles podcast, show, whatever you want to call it, 2:00 every day for Vinny Curry, Jamie Lynch, Fran Duffy, Zach Berman, and JP behind the scenes. We thank you for watching and listening. We will talk to you tomorrow. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.